U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has arrived in Israel as part of a tour of the Middle East. He's meeting with political leaders to discuss efforts to free the remaining Israeli hostages and implement the next stage of the Gaza ceasefire. He's also expected to talk about Trump's controversial plan for the U.S. to take over Gaza and relocate the Palestinian population, a proposal that Arab states have condemned. DW correspondent Emily Gordine joins me now from Jerusalem. Emily, what can we expect from the U.S. Secretary of State's visit to Israel today?
Well, this ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas really isn't getting any easier. The negotiations for the second phase of the deal were meant to begin on the 3rd of February. They haven't, and this is exactly where Marco Rubio's visit comes into play. About an hour ago, he met with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and there is some hope and some expectation that this will in fact kickstart negotiations in the coming days. The U.S. Department of State put out a statement before Marco Rubio left saying that, quote, the trip will center on freeing American and all other hostages from Hamas captivity, advancing to phase 2 of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, and countering the destabilizing activities of the Iranian regime and its proxies. Now, that suggests that America is in fact in support of this deal and that it could well be putting pressure on Netanyahu to engage in meaningful negotiations. Now, the negotiations in and of itself were somewhat derailed by what Trump has been saying over the last few weeks, specifically by his plan to, quote, take over Gaza. This is something that has been widely rejected by not only the Palestinians themselves, but also by Arab states, as it would also entail the displacement of the Palestinians from the Strip as they understand it. And ultimately, though, this leaves Marco Rubio and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with a lot to discuss.
Is Rubio expected to advance that plan?
Well, it is not specifically mentioned in the statement by the Department of State. However, Rubio has, on Thursday on an American television show, reaffirmed Trump's plans. He also emphasized that any proposal that includes the that includes Hamas staying in power is not acceptable. But he did also say that the administration was open to alternative proposals. That suggests that this is something he will discuss on his trips to Saudi Arabia and the UAE, where he is heading after his visit to Israel. And Saudi Arabia, for its part, is actually convening a summit on Thursday with leaders from Jordan, Egypt, Qatar and the UAE, where they will discuss alternative plans that will allow Palestinians to remain in Gaza while it is being rebuilt. All of this based on a proposal that the Egyptians have been working on. But really, it's too early also to predict where this is all going. We don't know what kind of governance in Gaza the Israelis are willing to accept. We also don't know what role Hamas is going to play. And we also don't know whether the far-right elements of the Netanyahu government do actually have the power of completely derailing this deal, which they are deeply opposed to and have made that very clear in the past. Now, Israel, for its part, looking forward now, has already demanded that the remaining 6 living hostages that are meant to be released in the first phase of the deal, they want them to be released all in one in the next week. And Hamas, for its part, has come out reporting that an Israeli airstrike this morning killed 2 Hamas police officers. So we're already seeing hiccups in getting through the first phase of the deal.
Right.
We're not yet at a stage where we're talking about the negotiations for the second phase of the deal, let alone negotiations about the future, the long-term future of Gaza.
That's DW correspondent Emily Gordine in Jerusalem. Thank you, Emily.